Okay. Kind of set it up and then forgot. These things are like so loud, it makes it sound like I'm living on a very busy street. It's just like incredibly loud. So let's get the class lined up. And the tiki-toki people started. Hi everyone. Let me make sure, see what my file we're working with here. Okay, we're working with the right one. And welcome to today's class. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Dr. Tochi. Papa Dr. Tochi, mom of the men's and the women's, the boys and the girls. And I'm going to change the position of this device here. Okay. So that I'm not looking kind of weird. There we go. So I'm going to endeavor to look this way and that way, and the other way. Okay, so that way I'm just looking here. Okay, so welcome to our class today. We're going to be looking at another African story. And remember that these stories we're looking at are old folk tales. Thank you for liking the live, Simone. These folk tales have spiritual secrets embedded in them. Okay. Hello, Miss Fiona. Hello, Miss Joy. And folk tales have been a long and age-old way of transmitting spiritual messages. Just as a quick reminder, we have the level 1, reclaim your authority, starting this Sunday. If you haven't secured your seat, I suggest you secure your seat before we start. Okay. Level 2 starts the week after that. So if you have completed level 1, you are eligible to partake in level 2. Okay. Remember, tomorrow is the spring equinox. So we will be having our spiritual community for all members, all paying members tomorrow, 8 p.m. The Google Meet link has been posted. And what else? We have the ancestor healing ritual after the spiritual community tomorrow. So spiritual community tomorrow is 8 p.m. CST. And then the ancestor healing ritual is at 10 p.m. CST. For those attending the ancestor healing ritual, make sure you show up with all your materials. Okay? Because you already know when I conduct rituals, it's participatory. Okay? You participate in the ritual. You just don't sit back and relax and watch the ritual. I would appreciate it if you take a moment to like and share the video. Give it a heart or power tap depending on the platform you're on. Okay. Today's story is the children and the Izimu. Okay. And the Izimu can be shortened to Zim. It's a South African story. Okay. It's from the Zulu and Mu- Musa. Musa. I had to think about that. Musa traditions. Okay. And I'm going to put on my readers to see this. Okay. So, gather around, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Okay. In the rich oral traditions of the Musa and Zulu people of South Africa, these folk tales known as Izinganekwane, and if you're Zulu or Musa, don't come for me. Because I know that I'm probably destroying the pronunciation on these things. Let me turn up the volume here. Make sure that the volume is here. Uh-oh. Okay. I'm interested in knowing how TikTok is going to translate Xhosa. Okay. So a lot of these Izingane Kwane folk tales include the story of the Izimu, and these are like ogres. Okay, like so if you're familiar with the European traditions, they're like the ogres. They're considered um, fearsome mythological creatures. Okay, it's a towering, shape-shifting ogre or cannibal with an insatiable appetite, and it will roam the wilderness looking for unwary travelers and disobedient children. Okay. So, in this classic story of the children and the Zim, which is short for Izimu, it has been passed down from generation to generation. So I would suggest you have your notebook and your pen so you can take notes. And as we go through the story, see how it may apply to you, even though it's a folk tale. Because remember, folk tales embed spiritual principles in them. Okay. So long ago, in a quiet village nestled between rolling hills, lived a mother and her young daughter. Okay. The mother often had to leave the homestead to go gather greens, fetch water, and tend to the crops. Because the wilderness was known to be the hunting ground of the dreaded Zim, the mother built a strong, secure hut. Before leaving each morning, she would lock the door from the outside and say, "My child, do not open this door for anyone. I will sing a special song when I return, and only when you hear my voice should you unlatch the door." And her song, translated to English, basically was, my child, it is your mother. I have brought you food. I have brought you water. Open the door, my little one. So for a long time, the girl stayed safe. Whenever she heard her mother's sweet, familiar voice, singing that melody. She opened the door and they would share their meal in peace. So one afternoon, a hungry Zim was lurking in the tall grass near this hut. He overheard the mother singing this song to the daughter and which watched as the door swung open. Smacking his lips, well, I'm assuming that that's how he smacked his lips. Okay. He devised a plan. The next day, as soon as the mother was out of sight, the Zim crept up to the door and sang the song. But the Zim's voice was deep, rough, and grating like stones grinding together. Does this sound familiar? Does this story sound familiar? The clever girl inside called out, "Go away! You're not my mother. Your voice is too harsh, and my mother's voice is as sweet as a bird." Furious but determined, the Zim sought out a local witch doctor and demanded a way to soften his terrible voice. The witch doctor told the Zim to swallow a red hot iron piece to burn the roughness in his throat. The Zim did so, enduring the agonizing pain because his greed was stronger than his common sense. When the Zim returned to the hut, he sang the song again. This time, his voice was high, clear, and perfectly matched the mother's sweet tone. Deceived, the girl joyfully unlatched the door. Before she could scream, the Zim snatched her up and threw her into his massive sack and tied it tight. The Zim hoisted the heavy sack over his shoulder and began the long trek to his lair. However, the sun was hot and the monster grew incredibly thirsty. As he passed near another village, he stopped. He decided to stop at a local homestead to ask for a gourd of traditional beer, leaving his heavy sack outside by the fence. Remember the other version that we looked at? The Zim went to the river or to the lake to drink some water and left his sack. Now, but this time, this Zim is going to a bar and he asked for a gourd, Gourd, of the traditional beer. Now, if you're from South Africa, you can, um, yeah, it's similar to the twin story. So if you're from South Africa, you can tell us what the name of this traditional beer is. My understanding, it's fermented from corn. Okay, so let me know. But whatever it is, they ferment it, and after fermentation, it becomes an alcoholic beer, and then people drink this beer. As fate would have it, the homestead belonged to the young girl's uncle and aunt. And so while the Zim was inside drinking greedily, the girl's cousin walked past the sack and heard a faint, muffled sound. She listened, and it was actually muffled crying. The family quickly gathered, untied the sack, and gasped to find their niece inside. They pulled her out to safety and hugged her tight. But the uncle knew They had to teach the wicked Zim a lesson. Working quickly, the villagers gathered venomous snakes, angry bees, biting ants, and heavy stones, stuffing them all into the Zim's sack. They tied it back up exactly as it had been after they stuffed it. The Zim finally emerged, wiping his mouth. He thanked his hosts, picked up the squirming sack, thinking the girl was in there putting up a fight, and hurried to his lair. I want to kind of pause here. Remember when we looked at a couple of weeks ago when we looked at the twin versions? Remember when we looked at the story? I think we had the story before with the twins. I had asked the question, how is it that after drinking water at the lake or the river, he picked up the sack and he didn't notice that the sack was a lot lighter? Because remember, the male twin, had stuffed it with insects and bees and ants and thorns. And I had said, how didn't he notice that the bag wasn't as heavy as it was when he had the girl in there? Okay. But here, this version of the story, we have an explanation that better suits reality. Okay. Because now he's carrying a bag with stones and more things. Once inside his dark cave, the Zim locked his door securely so that his prize couldn't escape. He rubbed his hands together, untied the sack, untied the rope, and opened the sack. Instead of a helpless child, a swarm of furious bees and stinging ants flew out, blinding him. The venomous snake slithered out and struck his ankles. Bitten, stung, and battered by the heavy stones that tumbled out, the Zim crashed blindly through his own door and ran howling into the wilderness, never to be seen again. The little girl was safely returned to her mother, and from that day on, she never opened the door to a stranger. Okay? Now, the lessons we learned in the previous version pretty much apply here. First of all, the little girl made a mistake. And remember, we identified it in the other version with the twins. She talked too much. The Zim didn't ask her any questions. The Zim came to the door and started singing, pretending to be her mother. And she started saying, no, you're not my mother. My mother's voice is like this, like this, like that. And that gave the Zim the opportunity to go and try to start disguising his voice to match the mother's voice. So the lesson still remains. Stop volunteering information when you have not been asked, especially when your life is on the line. When your safety is on the line, stop talking too much. If you weren't asked, you do not have to answer. And this is a challenge many of us have, especially those of us who see ourselves as talkers. Okay. We feel, oh, I got to say something. I got to talk. I got to say something. Okay. The other lesson from this is to understand the power of community. In the West here, a lot of us pride ourselves on being isolated. Oh, I don't have a mother, I don't have a brother, I don't have a father, I don't have a sister, I don't have cousins, aunts, I don't have anybody, I don't need anybody, I don't want friends, I don't have friends. Like I've said before, I'm going to say it again. It is not a thing of pride to boast that you don't have family, you don't have friends, and that you are proud of it. As we can see from the story, it was her extended family that eventually saved her. If for some reason or any reason you are not close to your birth family, you can start building a family with other people who care for you. You can build a family of your own. Family isn't always blood. Okay? Family isn't always blood. I want to see this comment. Oh, okay, Abby. Thank you. Okay. Family isn't always blood. There are some people who'll be more family to you than your blood relatives. So do not be shy in to create your own family, what you think family should look like. Don't be there saying, oh, well, I'm all out here. Nobody's going to talk to me. I'm not talking to nobody. Make up your own family. As human beings, we were created for community. We weren't created to be alone. We weren't created to live in isolation. I hope we're understanding this because, like I said, there are many of us out here who are proud that we are here by ourselves. We're very proud of that. It's nothing to be proud of. Okay. The other tangential message from this folktale. Well, let's look at the metaphysical symbology first. We have the male principle that goes out to bring food and come back. Even though it was her mother, but that's a male principle. Okay. Remember, we covered this before. And we have the child with basic protection around her and basic instructions given to her. But from this story, we can see that that set of instructions wasn't comprehensive enough to protect her because she had only one way of knowing if it was her mother or not. And the verification depended on the mother. The mother should have had a multi-factor authentication protocol in place. After I'm done singing, there should be a code, maybe a daily code word or something. As a mother, you go out to tend to your crops, you lock the door from the outside. You didn't think through what would happen to this child if I did not come back, and she's locked in there, and I'm not coming back to sing to her. So we see the need for the two energies to be in place. Because if you had the feminine energy there with the child as an added level of protection. Then you would have the locked door, the singing, and also an adult there. There are sometimes we think that, oh, if I just tell the person this is all they need to do, it is their level of intelligence can think around that. The child only followed instructions. If you hear my voice singing, open the door. What instructions did you leave the girl if she didn't hear any singing or strong singing? What instructions were left for the girl? If you hear some strange singing, but that singing is not my voice, here's what you do. Some parents will say, if they kind of thought it through, they would have said, if you hear a voice at this door that doesn't sound like mine, go ahead, do not make a sound. But the mother didn't think that far down the line. She just basically, if you hear me singing, open the door. Okay? This is the one of the reasons why it's important to have a spiritual teacher, a spiritual coach who shows you step by step by step what to do, when to do it, and why you are doing what you're doing. So that even if the instructions are incomplete, you on your own can start thinking around the problem. Okay. It is possible that the mother in this story was pretty constrained, maybe didn't have a lot of money, and was doing the first thing that came to her mind. However, it is good to think things through and think instructions through and have options. If this happens, do this. If that happens, do that. If this doesn't happen, do that, especially where safety is concerned. The other lesson we can learn from this is when you are in distress, when you have a challenge, when you have a problem, don't sit quietly and keep your mouth shut. It was the crying of that child that alerted her relatives to the fact that she was inside that sack. If she was not crying, nobody would have known that she was inside the sack. So even if you don't know where to go or how you're going to be helped, how you're going to be assisted, how you're going to be rescued, how you're going to be elevated, whatever verb you want to use for that, make sure that you're vocal about your situation. If you need to be telling your spiritual crew every day, tell them every day. If you need to be talking with a trusted counselor, then that's what you need to do. Do not relent in the face of your own challenges. Don't relent. Don't sit there and say, oh, it's over. Therefore, there is nothing I can do. I am resigning myself to my fate. No. If you need to sit at your altar and cry out to your spiritual crew, so be it. So be it. If you need to go get a divination for your situation, go get it. If you need to go get therapy for your trauma, go get it. But one of the worst things we can do is to sit quietly and not say anything while we are being crushed under the weight of the burden that we're carrying. It is not a thing of virtue to remain silent when you are burdened. And sometimes people say, well, I'm not going to tell anybody. I'm going to carry it by myself. I'm going to do everything by myself. I don't need nobody, blah, 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 blah. That is foolishness. That's foolishness. Because you do not know who, what, or how help will come. Imagine that this girl was in this Zim's sack and then decided, you know what, I'm not going to cry anymore. I'm going to sit here and accept the fact that I'm a victim. It's God's will. So I'm just gonna lie down here quietly and accept my fate. Nobody would have found her. She would not have been found by her relatives. Okay. So say something. Say something. Okay. Say something. Make some noise. I know there are times when we say, well, what's the point of telling people my problems? They're only going to make fun of me. I am sure that child was in that sack crying as the Izimu carried her along, and people basically just ignored her. But it didn't stop her from crying. Do not think because you were not helped the first time that you will not be helped ever. That's not true. If you feel you don't have someone trusted to tell about your problems, at the very least, tell your spiritual crew. The first who get to know of my challenges are my spiritual crew, not my husband, not my kids, not my peers, not my mentors, not my friends, my spiritual crew. Because they see more, know more, hear more, and can do more than I can. And when I face challenges, I don't remain silent. I don't say, oh, I'm going to sit here and endure it. It must be the will of God. It's God's will. So I'll just sit here and endure it. And if God wants me to survive this, I will. If God doesn't want to survive it, oh well, God take it and God give it and all those platitudes. No. I will call on my creator and say, see where I am. See what I'm going through. See my suffering. See my pain. See my heart. See my tears. And you can do that too. But there are times if I'm going to do a ritual and there are challenges on the way to do that ritual, when I get to my destination, I will say, look at how hard it was for me to get here. Look at all the challenges I went through to get here. You must answer my petition. You must answer my prayer. I suffered to get these things, and I suffered to get here. You must answer my petition. You must answer my prayers. You must give me what I want. You know the situation that brought me here, that is making me conduct this ritual. So I'm not going to get to my destination and say, oh, well, here's some flowers and incense. Here's some fruit. Oh, help me. No, I will tell my spirit guides. Why should I hide my problems? Why should I hide my challenges from my spirit guides? Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make any kind of sense. I will let it all out. Here's what I had to go through. Pardon me, I'm feeling a little bit hot here. I have a fan under here and it's like, okay. This is this is what I had to go through. And don't you worry, don't look at it and say to yourself, "Oh, I don't want my spiritual crew to think that I'm complaining." Complain. If you need to complain, complain to them. I'm not complaining to other folks. I'm complaining to them. I've been wrestling with this. I have petitioned you over this before. I've done rituals and offering over this thing before, and you have not answered me. And here I am again. There are sometimes I do that for some of my clients. We did some work for them, and for whatever reason, it didn't go the way we hoped for it. I will go back and complain. You asked for this, and we gave it to you. We did a divination, and you said everything was okay. What's the holdup? Yes, you do need to complain. If you have to complain, that's what you need to do. And sometimes I will do that on behalf of my client. My client has done this, she has done this, she's done this, or he has done this and done this and done that. And I'm witness to all that he or she has been doing. Why isn't there a breakthrough? I will complain. I will make noise. I will cry. I'll whimper. I'll murmur. I will do whatever. I'm not going to sit there and say to my client, oh, well, I guess it was the will of God. No, because we've done a divination about this and we follow the direction of that divination. Therefore, there must be a solution. There must be a solution. Must. So basically, if you don't want me to pester you, bother you, challenge you, wonder about you, you had better help me with this thing. And it is for this precise reason that a lot of people, it's for this precise reason that a lot of people have left church. Or they've left their masjid, or left their temple, or their synagogue. And those of you who have been to my retreats, you know what we have said about spirit guides. So Abby in Philly says, it's not a thing of virtue to stay silent under the weight of a burden. That's correct. It's not a thing of virtue. Don't sit there and start mouthing religious platitudes. Oh, well, if it is the will of God, if it's the will of the spirits, God knows best. We weren't created to suffer. If we were created to suffer, we would have the intellectual level of other animals. We were not created to suffer. We were created to solve problems. And not only to solve problems, to teach others like us how to solve problems. Once I learn how to cook jollof rice, I can teach you how to cook jollof rice. It's not a one-time event. I don't learn how to cook jollof rice and then become unable to teach someone else how to cook that jollof rice. I don't learn how to fix my radiator in my car and then become unable to teach someone else how to fix the radiator in their car. That's why we have the intellectual level that we do, that distinguishes us from other animals. Okay. Learn how to be vocal in the right way about your challenges. I repeat, learn how to be vocal in the right way about your challenges. If A, person A will not help you, go to person B. If person B won't help you, go to person C. If person C won't help you, go to person D. If person D won't help you, go to person E. If person E will not help you, go to person F. If person F will not help you, go to person G. If person G will not help you, go to person H. What if person H does not help you? What do you do? What do you do? If person H does not help you, what do you do? Exactly. Exactly. You go to person I. There is no problem that doesn't have a solution. And every adversity has an expiration date. Every adversity. Correct, Mr. Pender. If H doesn't do it, you go on to I. If I doesn't help you, you go to J. If J doesn't help you, you go to K. You will find a helper. Most of us give up before our time. Oh, I've asked the first person, I've asked the second person, I've asked the third person, they can't help me. Um, you ask everybody. And sometimes people come to me and I will say to them, well, what have you done about this? They'll say, I've gone everywhere. You've gone everywhere? I go, yes. I said, well, last time I checked, my husband never met you. You said you've been everywhere. You've talked to everybody. My husband doesn't know you, never talked to you. My kids never talked to you. They don't know you. So you couldn't have possibly talked to everyone about it. And if you just hold on here, I'll go ask my neighbors. I'll go next door, ask my neighbors if they've talked to you about your problem. And then the person starts laughing and going, well, that's not what I meant. Well, that's what you said. Many of us are very good at exaggeration. I've done everything. I've asked everybody. I've gone everywhere. No, you haven't. Many of us give up too quickly. And then we end up not getting what we want. Why? Because we give up too quickly. Say to yourself, I may be delayed, but I'm not denied. It doesn't mean that I'm denied. I believe Kanye West said something similar. It may be delayed, but it doesn't mean that it's denied. If you have a challenge, do not give up. If your parents won't listen to you, go look for somebody else who will listen to you. Oh, I asked my mom and she wouldn't help me. I asked my dad and I wouldn't help. Okay, I'll go to a public church and ask. And if I go to that church, they don't help me, I will look for a mosque. I will look for a masjid, a Muslim place of worship, and I'll go there and tell them. And if they don't want to help me, I will go to a Hindu temple. I will call them on the phone. I'll write them an email. Help me. Where are your parents? They're here. They don't want to help me. Where's your husband? He's here. He don't want to help me. Where's your wife? Here, doesn't want to help me. So I'm calling you to help me because I know I need help. I was reading the story a few days ago of a child of a billionaire here in Texas that decided, well, she had mental health issues, but apparently, according to what I was reading, allegedly decided to execute the grand exit. a few weeks before her wedding. Child of a billionaire. Very accomplished, well educated, well connected. And many of us can sit and say, what could you possibly want? You're the child of a billionaire. None of that wealth is being withheld from you. And I was reading some of the online forums saying, what a shame coming from such a family there, and nobody is willing to talk to you or listen to you. We don't know that that's true. But I will say this, it is pretty likely that the ask was happening only at that level, the level of the wealthy. See, when you have grown up in the streets and you have seen the different sides that life have to offer, you learn how to go seek what you need to get from anywhere and anyone. If it means I need to talk to a Christian for help, I will talk to a Christian for help. And if that Christian chooses not to help me, that's okay. I will go to a Muslim and ask for help. I'm not going to sit here and start saying, oh, well, I know they're into the Jesus egregore, so I'm not going to go talk. I'm the one with the challenge that needs to be solved. It is I. It is I. And if that Christian says to me, well, come to my church and I guarantee your problem is going to be solved, I will go to that church and solve my problem. Now, does it mean I'm going to stay in that church? I won't. Does it mean I will show some generosity to that church or whoever helped me in that church? Yes, I will, because I am not ungrateful. I am not ungrateful. So if there's somebody who knows how to manipulate the Jesus egregore that they're working with to help me solve my problem, I will show gratitude, because I am not an ungrateful person. And I might need their help tomorrow. Many of us forget that. Oh, well, I'm just going to use this person and get what I want, and I'm going to just kick them to the curb. And what happens if you need their help again? I'm not ungrateful. If a Christian helps me, I will show appreciation. If a Hindu helps me, I will show appreciation. If a Muslim helps me, I will show appreciation. If a Jew helps me, I will show appreciation. If a Zoroastrian helps me, I will show appreciation. If an atheist helps me, I will show appreciation. If an agnostic helps me, I will show appreciation. If a Scientologist helps me, I will show appreciation. Get the picture? Because I'm not ungrateful. Now, they may not be in a position to help me again in the future, but it doesn't mean I won't show that I am grateful. Because in the future, if I need help, but they're unable to help me, they may know somebody else who's able to help me. And I don't want them to think about me and say, what an ungrateful bitch. I helped her last time and she left us here in the lurch. So learn how to open your mouth for on behalf of yourself. A closed mouth does not get fed. That's an English saying. Closed mouth doesn't get fed. If you haven't signed up for the retreat starting on Sunday, make sure you sign up for that retreat. Don't come back to me later and say, oh, I wish I knew about it. I've been announcing it. Sign up for the retreat starting on Sunday. Okay? Start learning how to think differently, to start seeing your life differently. Start operating differently. Okay? Any questions, comments? Can you put these on so I can see? Any questions or comments about today's class, about today's story? Okay, here comes TikTok with a stupid test. TikTok has this drag puzzle thing at about an hour. You have to do the drag puzzle to prove that you're still there. I don't know what the hell. All right. So if there are no questions, no comments, we can end today's class. You're quite welcome. See, cystic. Make sure you're following for more. And the replay will be available on YT. Okay, I always post the replays there, so you can go there if you wanted to go through it again or listen to it. I post it on the YT. Okay. We're thankful to our Creator, our guardian spirits, our ancestors, and our spirit guides for today's community, for today's sharing, and today's forbidden fruit. May it not be wasted in our lives. Kamagi. Because of the said, we'll end with that since we dealt with a South African prayer. Remember that our spiritual community gathering will be held tomorrow at 8 p.m. CST. So if you are a member, you should have the Google Meet link. It is free to all members. And then 2 hours after that at 10 p.m. CST, we're going to have our ancestor healing ritual with our advanced members. Okay, good. Right. And then I think that's pretty much the events we have for March. Those are the events we have for March. So advanced members, remember 10 p.m. CST ancestor healing ritual. You're welcome. Make that. I hope you're keeping safe in Qatar. You're seeing the videos and the pictures of what's happening out there. Just know that you are protected. You are loved and you are protected. Okay. Congratulations to all those who have successfully completed Ramadan. For us here, we still have a few hours before we come to the end of Ramadan. Thank you. Thank you for the gift. Let me put on my glasses and see who that. Okay, everything by Angela Nicole. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Remember, the replay of today's class will be available on YT. So, congratulations to those who have successfully completed their Lent fast and the Ramadan fast, depending on what part of the world you are in. Some of us still have a ways away to go, like and out here, my part of Texas, we have about 3.5 hours to go before iftar. And then tomorrow we will celebrate Eid. Okay. If you are celebrating Eid, make sure you're not overeating because you've probably seen some health benefits from your fast. I personally have seen a whole bunch of health benefits just doing this 30-day fast. It is just like mind boggling. Eid Mubarak, my dear. Okay. My clothes fit better. My acid reflux disappeared. My sleep was deeper. Okay. I've been calmer. My immune system went up. There are just so many benefits. I got like my stamina, my energy, my flexibility, whole bunch of things just improved. Happy Eid to you too, my son. So we're just hanging in there for the next 3.5 hours. But personally, I would like to continue receiving the benefits I've gotten from this fast. Okay. Yay, look at those roses. Thank you so much. Everything by Angela Nicole. You are so kind. I appreciate you for those roses. Look at that. Let me up with all them roses in TikTok. I will tell you that the benefits are just so amazing. And part of what I've been thinking is how can I carry forward the benefits I've gotten? So even with Eid being tomorrow, and I know there'll be a lot to eat and drink tomorrow, I'm thinking I will continue at least for the next 30 days a modified version of the fast that I've done during this Ramadan. So, um, yeah, you're right. Fasting puts the body on deep maintenance mode. You're 100% correct because uh, my gut issues just disappeared. That's the best way I can say that. They just disappeared. And so I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, and the other thing I noticed with this fast, my actual capacity for food went down. So I can't even eat as much as I used to. And I think it's a combination of eating late and being in a fasted state all day long. Because when I think about it logically, if we're not, or let me speak for myself, if I'm not in a fasted state, like I wake up, I don't usually have breakfast. I can't tolerate food that early. But after about a couple of hours, I can have a coffee. I would go to Starbucks, okay, get a beverage. Oftentimes, I'll do a half and half, so half calf, half decaf. I don't do syrups, so but even though I do non-dairy milks, those non-dairy milks usually come flavored. Okay. And after about an hour or two of that, I'm looking for something to eat. And sometimes when I'm in Starbucks, I'm like, oh, okay, I'm here. Let me have a breakfast item. So you eat that. And we tend to forget, or I tend to forget, that you can have something sitting in your stomach for 2 hours because that digestion process is going on. And when you are older, the digestion process takes longer. So maybe before you would eat something and your tummy is empty in 1 hour. When you get older, your gastric emptying is slower. So it's sitting there. So, but if you're used to eating whenever you want, eating on demand, lunchtime comes around, the ghrelin comes up, the hunger hormone, and you're like, oh, I got to eat something. But you're not paying attention to the fact that your stomach is not empty. And so you add something else to it. And then that takes maybe another 4 to 5 hours to digest. Before you know it, is evening time. You're adding to that. And the food you ate is still digested. And so what is happening is that the stomach, the stomach, the gut, all of that is constantly being fed, is working on all this food that you're putting in there based on the clock. Okay. McDad says fasting is not only stopping eating and drinking, that's the easiest part. It's also for controlling or minimizing bad behavior, thinking and feeling, and actions towards self, others, on the planet. I agree. But the self control has to start with us first. And what I like about fasting during Lent or Ramadan is the totality of it. So I'm not fasting during Ramadan saying, well, I can have milk, but I can't have juice. I can have this, I can have that. Ramadan is nothing, zero, not even water. But I didn't do that because that was too severe for me and I'm on medication. So I'm drinking water and that's helped a lot. I know one year I tried doing the Ramadan strictly as prescribed by the Prophet Muhammad. That is no water, nothing passes your lips. I I couldn't make it past day 3, even though I knew I was going to have iftar later on, but I couldn't make it. I was so parched. I was so dehydrated. I was so dizzy. I was so fatigued. I was so weak. I just, it just. So I'm going to do what I can do because, when I get up, I have to take my meds. Okay. So, and I can't swallow those tabs dry. Okay. But even just drinking the water, because water, you don't need to digest water. But even so, it's basically like doing a water fast for maybe 20 hours a day. Because by the time iftar comes and you eat, well, again, let me speak for myself. By the time iftar comes and I eat, I'm going straight to bed. And even if I woke up for suhoor before sunrise, I can't usually put down food once I wake up. I need a couple of hours for my system to be ready for food. So I tried that suhoor a couple of times. It didn't work out for me. So basically I don't even bother with it. I just do iftar. And once I eat that meal, I'm full. I eat what's before me and I'm full. That's it. I'm full. I'm not even thinking about more food or anything. Now, there was a weekend I went to a party So I had iftar, but that was when the iftar was a bit earlier because we had, the time change. So this is when the iftar was like 6:15. So I had iftar. I ate broke the fast around 6:15, went to a party later that night. I was able to eat something, but again, it wasn't something heavy. I just couldn't manage something heavy at 10 p.m., 11 p.m. I just couldn't. So I had a few bites of that food, which was very tasty, and then took the rest home. So I find that these fasts, whether it's a Lenten fast or Ramadan fast, it it's very disciplining. It's very, very disciplining. Today, I was thinking, going, "Oh, today is the last day of fast," and my mind's tried to play tricks on me. I remember when I said, during our class 2 days ago, I said, "The mind will not tell you the truth. You need to accept that." My mind started telling me, today is the last day of the fast. You could really eat something because you've done well." And I laughed, and I was in the car by myself. I started laughing hysterically because my mind started telling me, you've been fasting for all these days, and whether you start eating a bit earlier today or tomorrow doesn't matter because you've done pretty well. And this is the conversation that was going on inside my head. And so I said, "Is that right?" And then I drank some water. Is that right? And then I drank some water. And then my belly started rumbling like, "Oh, we need food here." And I'm like, "No, we don't need food here. We have enough fat reserves to last us for the next 4 to 5 years." And truthfully speaking, if I had to go on some kind of water diet or liquid diet, I can make it for the next 4 to 5 years. I have some good fat reserves. I will not be starving anytime soon. So my body and I, or my mind and I, were having this conversation today as I was, on my way to come and teach this class. I was like, "No, you will not die." And then you know how the mind tries to play you tricks, and then I had this kind of thing like a swoosh, like I was getting dizzy. And I said to myself, "We will park this vehicle and take a nap. If that's what I need to do, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna park this car and take a nap. And then I will let my class know what happened. But as far as I'm concerned, you ain't getting no food. No food. You are not getting nothing. Nil, nada, net, nothing. No food." And once I said that, uh, it's like my body system started operating correctly. My body knew that I meant business. Okay. All right. And then the dizziness and the everything and the hunger and the lightness, everything just vanished. And I said, "I know what's that's all about." You know what I'm saying? Right. Gotta give the body specific instructions. Yes, you do. I came from your Sage video from 3 years ago. Do you have any new tips on how to use Sage in your room? No, no new tips. Sorry. Nope, nope, nope. What I knew is what I put down in the video. Miss Kiona says, sounding like Dr. Now from the 600-pound TV show. You know that's right. Got not enough fat reserves to last you for the next 4 years. Remember that woman that was saying, I can't eat this. You're only giving me salads. I'm gonna die of starvation. And he says, no, you won't. You have enough fat reserves to last you for the next 4 years. If you feel heavy and drowsy after iftar, try to eat a few dates and drink warm water first. Then, after 1 hour, start iftar with a heavy meal. No, I don't have a problem after iftar. Really. I don't have a problem after iftar. It's in the middle of the day. That's when this thing happens, it's in the middle of the day. So like today around 1 p.m. in the afternoon, 2 p.m. Yeah, 1 p.m. because this class was 3 p.m. my time. So I'm having this conversation in the core at 1 p.m., 1:30, 2 p.m. Because somewhere my mind was trying to reason and tell me and say, hey, you've already done all these days and you can just have something, you can just swing by Starbucks or somewhere, get you something, and nobody will know. Nobody will know that, you started eating early today on the last day. And I said to my mind, this conversation is not happening. Coming to tell me nobody will know is meaningless. I will know. So my mind telling me nobody will know. They won't know. They can't know. They won't find out. No. Okay, my spirit guide knows. That's a good one. My spirit guide knows. Yeah. Okay. So with Eid being tomorrow, I think my plan for Eid tomorrow is to continue as if I'm still fasting, but I'm not gonna wait for sundown. I will probably start eating around 6 p.m. because I'm finding that's a nice sweet spot. If I eat at 5, I still give myself opportunities to eat some more later on. But if I eat at 6, especially a heavy meal at 6, I lessen my chances of eating more or any other heavy things later on. And then the other challenge that we have here, at least in this part of the world, is snacking. If many of us could get our snacking under control, we would benefit so much from it. And I think that that's another discipline with this Ramadan Lent fast, the lack of snacking. Because I will snack on things, and it's not like I'm snacking on unhealthy things. I snack on healthy things. Like I will snack on nuts. I will snack on fruits. I will snack on things like avocado. I will snack um, on cashew nuts or walnuts. But these are calorie dense items. So yeah, in my mind, I'm like, yeah, I'm snacking on something healthy, but they're still calorie dense. So they're just like meals, especially for the amount I'm eating. See what I mean? So with the Ramadan, what happened with the fast is that it totally cut out all of that. I can't snack. I can't nibble on anything. I'm not a chips person. I'm not um, I'm more of a I'm not a snack person. I mean, like the fast food person. I'm not a junk food person. So I'm not attracted to things like chips and candy and stuff like that. I'm not attracted to stuff like that. No. If I'm gonna snack, I will eat a proper snack. You know what I mean? So I've this this Ramadan fast has given me a lot to think about in terms of what causes my health challenges based on what I'm putting in here. Okay, what I'm putting in there. Okay. All right, class ended a while ago, and now we're talking about diets and things like that. Yeah, and that's the best plan. Ramadan is a disciplined month to teach us to be disciplined the remaining months of the years and whole life. That's true. But you know, the challenge too is and 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 I thought about it and I said, okay, so what if I have a business meeting, a morning business meeting, an afternoon business meeting, and there's food, and our person says, here, let's go have lunch. What do I do? Or here, let's meet over breakfast. What do I do? Now, with the Ramadan, it's very easy to say, oh, I'm fasting. And they say, oh, okay, you fasting for Ramadan? Yes. Are you fasting for Lent? Yes. But if none of that is going on, how do you not make the other person feel uncomfortable? Because, you know, some people start feeling uncomfortable. Well, you're fasting and you're not eating anything. And especially if you're trying to work with people and get something out of them, and this is not people approval. You're working with them to get something. You know, you don't want them to feel uncomfortable. So I thought about that too. And I find, but when I look at my numbers and my patterns, I find I do a lot more socializing in the evening and at night than during the day. I'm busy with stuff during the day. I'm busy with work and other things during the day. So I would actually do better with having evening eating. So, you know, I had to think about that. I can get away without I can get away with not having morning meetings where I have to eat. If someone says, "Well, let's have lunch together," a strategy I could use is to either say, "Hey, I've eaten something," or if I haven't eaten, I can take it to go. If I can take it to go, I can take it to go. In the evening, then I'm not restricted. So with this kind of thing, you want to have a game plan. Okay, what you really want to have a game plan because you don't want to be caught flat-footed where the person says, "Oh, here, let's go to this steakhouse," and you're there, you're having saliva dripping down the side of your mouth, and you're saying, "Why can't I eat this?" No. So for me, I think that for me, fasting during the day is a lot easier than trying to fast at night because I'm a night eater. I mean, I will watch a movie and snack, or watch a movie and eat. You know, so it's easier for me not to do all that. And I like the totality of it. If you know, I'm not a moderate person, like, oh well, let me just have a handful of nuts. No, I usually have a fistful of nuts or more, depending on what's going on. If I'm stressed out, I might have the whole jar of nuts, you know. So I think that works for me, the totality of it. Absolute. You're either eating or you're not eating. Now, some people are good with moderation. They'll just have nibble it and they're good. No. If you know what works for you, there's some people who can do that, and some of us can't do that. So we have to totally abstain. That's it. I'm not touching it, period. Well, I'll have a little bit. No, 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 no. Yeah. So that's what I learned from this. All right, folks. Well, thank you for coming to class. See you all tomorrow. Love you. We're here chatting an extra 30 minutes after the class.